The combination of husband, wife, and children that 99.8% of people in the United States believe constitutes a family is not representative of 99.8% of U.S. families. According to 2010 census data, only 66% of children under 17 years old live in a household with two married parents. This is a decrease from 77% in 1980, U.S. Census 2011. This two-parent family structure is known as a nuclear family, referring to married parents and children as the nucleus, or core, of the group. Recent years have seen a rise in variations of the nuclear family with the parents not being married. 3% of children live with two cohabiting parents, U.S. Census 2011. Single parents, blended families, and foster families. Single-parent households are on the rise. In 2017, 32% of children lived with a single parent only, up from 25% in 2008. Of that 32%, 21% live with their mother. 4% live with their father, which is a percentage that is growing in share. In 1968, for example, only 1% of children lived with a solo father, and 3% lived with a solo father in 2008. Livingston 2018. About 16% of children are living in blended families, those with step-parents and/or step-siblings. This number has remained relatively stable since the 1980s when the Census Bureau began reliably measuring it. 4% of children live in families with couples who are not married. That number is partially composed of parents in same-sex relationships who were previously prohibited from getting married. In some cases, parents can no longer care for their children. In 2018, 3 million children lived with a guardian who was neither their biological nor adoptive parent. The causes range from parental mental health issues, drug use, or incarceration, as well as physical or sexual abuse of the children by the parent, or abandonment by the parent. The wide array of causes leads to a similarly wide array of arrangements and types of people and organizations involved. About half of these children live with grandparents, and about 20% live with other relatives. Child Stats 2019. Sometimes a grandparent or other relative temporarily assumes care of children, perhaps informally, while other times the arrangement is longer term and the state or city child welfare or similar department is involved. 25% of children who do not live with an adoptive or biological parent live with non-relatives, including foster parents, temporary guardians, or people in other types of relationships with the child or the child's parents. Non-relative foster parents are state-certified adults, who care for children under the guidance and supervision of a relevant agency. Foster parents comply with guideline and are provided with financial support for the children they care for. Sometimes the term foster parent refers to a relative who cares for the children under agency guidelines, and sometimes these kinship foster parents are also provided financial support. When children are placed into foster care or other non-parental care, agencies and families usually do their best to keep siblings together. Brothers and sisters usually provide each other with someone to navigate social challenges and provide continuity over time. Studies have shown that siblings placed together show more closeness to their foster caregivers and like living in the foster home more than those not placed with a sibling. Hagar and Rosenthal, 2011. Separating siblings can cause them to worry about each other or their birth families, and slows acceptance of their new home. Affronti, Rittner, and Samanchian Jones, 2015. Siblings sometimes play more of a parental role themselves, especially when there are large age gaps or if there are very young children involved. These older siblings may take on some parental responsibilities during a divorce or when children are sent to live with others. Parentified siblings may have trouble navigating the complexities of parental roles when they themselves are often still very young. These experiences can actually be traumatic and lead to compulsive disorders as well as lifelong issues with relationships and self-care. Lamoth, 2017. Changes in the traditional family structure raise questions about how such societal shifts affect children. U.S. Census statistics have long shown that children living in homes with both parents grow up with more financial and educational advantages than children who are raised in single-parent homes. U.S. Census 1997. Parental marital status seems to be a significant indicator of advancement in a child's life. Children living with a divorced parent typically have more advantages than children living with a parent who never married. This is particularly true of children who live with divorced fathers. This correlates with the statistic that never married parents are typically younger, have fewer years of schooling, and have lower incomes. U.S. Census 1997. 6 in 10 children living with only their mother live near or below the poverty level. Of those being raised by single mothers, 69% live in or near poverty compared to 45% for divorced mothers. U.S. Census 1997. Though other factors such as age and education play a role in these differences, it can be inferred that marriage between parents is generally beneficial for children. Cohabitation. Living together before or in lieu of marriage is a growing option for many couples. Cohabitation is when a man and woman live together in a sexual relationship without being married. In 2018, 15% of young adults ages 25–34 live with an unmarried partner, up from 12% 10 years ago. Burrance 2018. This surge in cohabitation is likely due to the decrease in social stigma pertaining to the practice. 69% of surveyed Americans believe it is acceptable for adults to live together if they are not currently married or do not plan to get married, while 16% say it is acceptable only if they plan to get married. Horowitz 2019. Cohabitating couples may choose to live together in an effort to spend more time together or to save money on living costs. Many couples view cohabitation as a trial run for marriage. 66% of married couples who cohabited but were not engaged saw cohabitation as a step toward marriage. And 44% of cohabiting adults who are not yet engaged or married see moving in with their partner as a step toward marriage. Horowitz 2019. While couples may use this time to work out the kinks of a relationship before they wed, the most recent research has found that cohabitation has little effect on the success of a marriage. In fact, those who do not cohabitate before marriage have slightly better rates of remaining married for more than 10 years. Jason 2010. Cohabitation may contribute to the increase in the number of men and women who delay marriage. The median age for marriage is the highest it has ever been since the U.S. Census kept records. Age 26 for women and age 28 for men. U.S. Census 2010. Figure 1 as shown by this graph of marital status percentages among young adults. More young people are choosing to delay or opt out of marriage, while the number of people living with a partner has increased. The overall number of people living with either a spouse or a partner has also declined. Credit: U.S. Census Bureau. Same-sex couples. The number of same-sex couples has grown significantly in the past decade. The U.S. Census Bureau reported 594,000 same-sex couple households in the United States, a 50% increase from 2000. This increase is a result of more coupling, the growing social acceptance of LGBTQ people, and a subsequent increase in people's willingness to share more about their identity. Nationally, same-sex couple households make up 1.5% of the total partner-headed households in the United States. U.S. Census Bureau 2020. When the 2015 Obergefell v. Hodges Supreme Court decision legalized same-sex marriage throughout the United States, all federally mandated spousal rights and benefits began to apply to same-sex married couples. These have impacts on Social Security and veterans benefits, family leave, and so on. For example, when same-sex marriage was not legal, an LGBTQ person couldn't take the same type of family leave as an opposite-sex spouse could if their partner became ill, and could even be prohibited from visiting their partner in the hospital. In terms of demographics, same-sex couples are not very different from opposite-sex couples. Same-sex couple households have an average age of 52 and an average annual household income of about $107,000. Opposite-sex couple households have an average age of 59 and an average household income of $97,000. Same-sex couples are less likely to have children under 18 years old, with a rate of 14% compared to 38% of opposite-sex couples. Note these include both married and unmarried couples. Census Bureau 2020. In an analysis of 81 parenting studies, sociologists found no quantifiable data to support the notion that opposite-sex parenting is any better than same-sex parenting. Children of lesbian couples, however, were shown to have slightly lower rates of behavioral problems and higher rates of self-esteem. Biblars and Stacy 2010. Prior to the nationwide legalization, Studies also showed that the rate of suicide among high school students declined in states where same-sex marriage was legal. Suicide is the second highest cause of death among high school students, and it is a tragic outcome for LGBTQ teenagers who feel unaccepted or vulnerable. The evidence indicates that the legalization of same-sex marriage had positive outcomes for the emotional and mental well-being of LGBTQ people. Johns Hopkins University 2017. Staying single. About 3 in 10 American adults report that they are single, meaning that they are neither married nor in a committed relationship. That group varies greatly by age and gender. Half of men below age 30 are single, compared with about a quarter of men between ages 30–64. About 30% of women under 30 are single, and that drops to 19% for women between 30 and 60 years old. There are also differences among racial lines, with white and Hispanic adults less likely to be single than are black people. Single individuals are found in higher concentrations in large cities or metropolitan areas, with New York City being one of the highest. Although both single men and single women report social pressure to get married, women are subject to greater scrutiny. Single women are often portrayed as unhappy or in some way lacking something they should have. Single men, on the other hand, are typically portrayed as lifetime bachelors who cannot settle down or simply have not found the right girl. Single women report feeling insecure and displaced in their families when their single status is disparaged. Roberts 2007. However, single women older than 35 years old report feeling secure and happy with their unmarried status, as many women in this category have found success in their education and careers. In general, women feel more independent and more prepared to live a large portion of their adult lives without a spouse or domestic partner than they did in the 1960s. Roberts 2007. The decision to marry or not to marry can be based on a variety of factors including religion and cultural expectations. Asian individuals are the most likely to marry, while African Americans are the least likely to marry. Venugopal 2011. Additionally, individuals who place no value on religion are more likely to be unmarried than those who place a high value on religion. For black women, however, the importance of religion made no difference in marital status. Bachelor 2010. In general, being single is not a rejection of marriage. Rather, it is a lifestyle that does not necessarily include marriage. Sociological research. Deceptive divorce rates. It is often cited that half of all marriages end in divorce. This statistic has made many people cynical when it comes to marriage, but it is misleading. Let's take a closer look at the data. Using National Center for Health Statistics data from 2003 that show a marriage rate of 7.5 per 1,000 people, and a divorce rate of 3.8, it would appear that exactly 1/2 of all marriages failed. Hurley 2005. This reasoning is deceptive, however, because instead of tracing actual marriages to see their longevity, or lack thereof, this compares what are unrelated statistics. That is, the number of marriages in a given year does not have a direct correlation to the divorces occurring that same year. Research published in the New York Times took a different approach, determining how many people had ever been married, and of those, how many later divorced. The result? According to this analysis, U.S. divorce rates have only gone as high as 41%. Hurley 2005. Another way to calculate divorce rates would be through a cohort study. For instance, we could determine the percentage of marriages that are intact after, say, 5 or 7 years, compared to marriages that have ended in divorce after 5 or 7 years. Sociological researchers must remain aware of research methods and how statistical results are applied. As illustrated, different methodologies and different interpretations can lead to contradictory, and even misleading, results.